for your Barkan Flow COVID-19 edition. We're going to start each class as we do with Pranayama Breathing, our breathing exercise to warm up the lungs, the neck, and the shoulders. So starting with the feet together, toes and heels are touching. The feet is touching the floor. Let them nice and wide. And feeling your feet rooted into the mat. Maybe roll the shoulders back a few times, standing up nice and solid. Breathing in through the nose, out through the nose, settling your mind, and perhaps setting an intention for your class. So getting ready for pranayama breathing, we'll interlace the fingers together underneath the chin, nice and tight, squeezing the palms together. Legs are engaged, belly tight. We start with an exhale and the head drops back. And then we begin. Inhaling through the nose, mouth closed, elbows floating up to the ceiling. Lungs are full here, hold it. And now we exhale back. Pushing the hands against the chin, dropping the head back. Palms touch together, elbows touch away from the chest. Inhale for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Exhale, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale, chin down, eyes are forward, the elbows slowly floating up to the ceiling. Pull the shoulders down away from the ears. And then exhale back. Engage the belly. Trace a line with your eyes on the ceiling, looking for the back wall behind you. Palms touch, elbows touch. Inhale. Slow, even breath, taking the full count of 6 seconds, filling up the lungs, elbows nice and high, full lungs. Exhale back. The back stays straight, just the head dropping back. Relax the neck, palms touch, elbows touch together. Keep going, inhale. Exhale. Keep going, inhale, feeling a little noise, a little vibration in the throat as you're reaching the elbows up high, filling up the lungs, seeing maybe the ribcage in your mirror if you have one. Exhale. Big strong exhale out through the mouth like you're breathing to fog up a mirror. Squeeze everything out here at the end, touch the elbows together. 2 more, inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Exhale, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale, big breath, the deepest one yet, filling up the lungs as much as you can, going even a little more, stretch the elbows a little higher, and exhale back. Now emptying the lungs, getting everything out, making room for new energy, prana. And then when the lungs can't empty anymore, the arms come down to the side. This is Namasté with the feet together, palms facing forward, coming back here in between each posture, in between each vinyasa. It's like a little reset button for our body and our brain before we start the next. Moving to Salutation, Surya Namaskar. We're starting with the feet together here in Namasté. On the next inhale, we reach, stretch up as much as you can, and then exhale, palms together. Bend the knees as much as you need to, forward fold. So if you can touch the mat, great. Otherwise, grabbing opposite elbows. Moving the legs gently, right and left, right and left. So you may be practicing at home without heat and noticing that you're a little less flexible already at this point in your practice than if you were here. No worries. Don't force it. Listen to your body. Take your time. Bend your knees as much as you need to. You can take a few squats. You can relax the head. Move the head and neck, shoulders, shake your head yes and no. Any little movements that you need to do. So from here on out, moving with the breath, breathing with the mouth closed through the nose. Next, inhale, the right leg floats back, high runner's lunge. You want to check in with your leg here on the left side, make sure that you have a 90-degree angle, the knee is directly over the foot, back leg is straight, try to bring the calf muscle up, and then opening up the chest. So the belly is a little engaged to support the upper body, trying to straighten out the hips, left hip back, right hip forward a little bit. Now planting both hands down, the left leg comes back to plank. Full plank here. Spreading the fingers wide, pushing the hands into the mat. Belly is strong. We're going to do a Chaturanga Push-Up. You can do it like this, full Chaturanga, or you can drop to your knees. Coming down halfway. Inhale, come up. And then starting relaxing all the way to floor, we'll do a mini cobra to start. Coming to the belly, squeeze the legs, chest comes up. Looking up, press the feet against the floor. Pull the shoulders down. Exhale, tuck the toes through all fours or straight back to downward facing dog. Adho Mukha Svanasana. So here again, walking as much as you need to, right and left, right and left. Perhaps bending the knees a few times. No worries if the heels don't touch here. Just bending the knees to bring the chest down, the hips up. Any little movements you need to do, still warming up the downward facing dog. Next, inhale, lift the right leg up, and then bringing the foot forward in between the hands. If you need to, you're also welcome to put the left knee on the floor, help yourself bring the right foot up, and then come up into the runner's lunge. Engaging the body, the abs, opening the chest, and then stepping up, forward fold. Let's do the left side. Inhale, round, reaching up to the ceiling. Exhale, down, all the way down. And again, still moving here as much as you need to, right and left. Bending the knees a few times, relaxing the head. Ready for the left side. Left leg floats back, high runner's lunge. So here we want to make sure that the hips are square, pulling the right hip back, left hip forward, squeezing the thighs in together towards the center line. Back leg is straight, chest open. Now planting the hands, right leg back to plank. Again, strong plank, engage the belly. Arms are straight here, but not locking out the elbows. You want to have one long line from the heels all the way to the shoulders. Now we do a push-up again. Exhale down, inhale, come up. And you can repeat the cobra or come into upward facing dog. So here, just the hands and the feet touching the mat. The hands are very close to the hips, looking up, pulling the shoulders down away from the ears. On your exhale, tuck the toes, come back to downward facing dog. Again, taking any little movements you need to take, moving the legs. A good distance here for the hands and the feet, its hip distance is about this wide. Spreading the fingers wide, index fingers point forward, so you can give a little bit of adjustment and make sure that your wrists are pointing in the right direction. Next, inhale, lift the left leg up, step it forward, runner's lunge. Trying to open up the chest, get a little bit of weight off the fingertips here, very light on the hands, almost no weight at all. Now stepping up, forward fold, palms together, inhale, round up. We'll do a second set faster. Inhale, reaching up, starting to flow now. Exhale, coming all the way down. Right leg back, runner's lunge. Plant the hands, left leg to plank. Chaturanga Push-Up. On your knees or full Chaturanga. On your inhale into upward facing dog. And on your exhale, coming back to downward facing dog. Adding a twist now, bring the right leg up. Step the foot forward. Right hand onto the lower back. First, engaging the belly, lifting up a bit, and starting to twist towards the right. So try to keep the hips right where they are, the shoulders, belly, and chest coming around, and then exactly the right arm can reach up, fingers spread wide, lots of energy in the hand, looking up towards the right thumb. Again, try to get a little bit of weight off the left hand touching the mat. Change, right hand down, step the left foot up, forward fold. Inhale, round up. Left side, inhale, reach up. Exhale, down you go. Left leg back, runner's lunge. Right leg to plank. Chaturanga push-up. Remember, you can do these push-ups on your knees if you're still building strength in your arms. Absolutely no problem. And then exhale, moving back to downward facing dog. Going for the twist on the left side. Inhale, left leg up. Exhale, step it forward. Engage the belly first. Left hand on the lower back, twisting around to the left side. Try to maybe rotate the left shoulder to stack the shoulders and then floating the arm up. Opening up the chest, opening up the rib cage, even maybe feeling a little bit of a twist here in the spine. The legs stay strong, back leg straight, looking up to the ceiling. Change, left hand down, right foot up, forward fold. Inhale, round up. Namasté Yogis. Moving into moon salutation, one set. Inhale, reaching up, stretch up. Exhale, forward fold. First, to lengthen the back, come up halfway. You can touch the floor, the legs, the feet. And then exhale, forward fold. 2 more. Inhale, come up. Exhale, down. Inhale. And exhale. On your next inhale, while you're looking forward, plant the hands. Walk back or hop back to Chaturanga. Doesn't matter how you get there. And then you have your push-up. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Getting ready for our first crescent lunge. Lift the right leg up. Bring the foot forward in between the hands. Hands come to the hips, and we rise up. If the balance is there, you can already bring the arms up, or they can stay on the hips as long as you need to. You want to have 90 degrees here in the front, thigh parallel with the floor, and the back leg straight. Tucking the tailbone down a little bit. If you need to help straighten the leg, you can lift the heel up. Pull the shoulders away from the ears. Relax your face. All right, knee lifts glute. Now hands together, left knee down. Untuck the toes. Try to make 90 degrees with your legs, even if it means you have to adjust. And then chin to the chest, pull the belly in, round forward, touch the forehead to the knee. We're coming up on the inhale. Reach forward, reach up. Lift the chest and drop the head and go back. Pushing down through this knee on the floor, into the floor to help with the balance. Go back a little bit further and change. Hands down, downward facing dog. Adho Mukha Svanasana. So coming back to down dog, now not really walking in place, just staying still, breathing. Remember, breathing with the mouth closed, breathing through the nose. Nice slow inhale, nice slow exhale. Let's do the left side. Left leg up, step it forward, finding your way to your full crescent lunge. Going step by step or bringing the arms up all at once. Finding the full expression of the pose. Try to bring the left hip back a little bit. Right hip forward so the hips stay square. Without arching the back, engage the belly and tuck the tailbone under. Now coming into kneeling salute, both hands together, right knee down, untuck the toes, round and curl forward all the way down, compressing the throat, the belly, forehead to the knee. Inhale, reach forward, reach up, lift the chest and drop the head, go back. Feet are strong, reach back, look back, go back a little further, and change. Hands down to the floor. Come back to downward facing dog. Moving directly into our first warrior posture, Virabhadrasana 2. Lifting the right leg up, step it forward in between the hands, pivot the back foot, windmill the arms, and find your warrior 2. So we want to try to have 90 degrees here in the front, eventually getting the thigh parallel with the floor. This foot here is perpendicular, and the two arms are reaching apart in opposite directions, triceps engaged. You can bring the chest open, get the shoulders away from the ears. Now without moving the legs, moving to triangle Trichanasana, looking back, flip the palms and tilt forward, Trichanasana. The hips have a tendency to pop up, so you might need to re-bend this front knee, bring the hips down a little more, and keeping the belly engaged, lift up with the chest, reaching up to the ceiling, bringing the chin towards the left shoulder, feeling an opening the chest and the rib cage. The legs stay strong, still breathing calmly through the nose. Hands to the mat, finding your way back to downward facing dog. And time for an optional vinyasa. So you can stay here in downward facing dog, also take child's pose if you need, or perhaps find a vinyasa flow. Push-ups can be again on the knees, or maybe you're amplifying your vinyasa by doing a one-legged push-up. Lots of options. Warrior 2 on the left side. Inhale, left leg up. Step the foot forward. Pivot the back foot, windmill the arms around. Warrior 2. So you want to be pulling apart here in the scapula, bringing the shoulders down away from the ears. Try to engage the belly and sit down a little deeper into the posture. So you're looking way beyond the left hand in the distance, bringing the chin already close to the left shoulder. Now without moving the legs, look back, flip the hands forward, and tilt down, Trichanasana. No need to touch the floor here. You can point the fingertips towards the toes, but a good distance is to have the elbow and the knee aligned here. You can always modify by putting the forearm on the thigh or the full posture, reaching the two arms apart. Remember, this back leg stays strong, even pushing out through the outside edge of the back foot. The belly is engaged to support the upper body, and you're opening the chest as much as possible. Change, hands down, back to down dog. Optional vinyasa. When you're doing the vinyasa, make sure during the push-up that you keep the elbows close to the body, so it's not a military push-up with the elbows out. You want to stay compact. and then finding the way to down dog. We're going to do a second set of warrior two with a couple of additional options. So inhale, bring the right leg up. Exhale, bring the foot forward. Windmill the arms all the way around, warrior two. So not staying here too long, looking back, flip the hands, tilt forward into triangle. A couple of options here are to stay in Trichanasana, bring the left arm around for a half bind, both arms around for the full bind, and if you have the full bind, you can bring the left foot forward, working it up, engaging the belly, rising up on the inhale, and working on your bird of paradise. If you're down here on the floor, try to keep the head in the center, opening up the chest, rolling the left shoulder back. Legs stay strong, belly stays engaged. Keep breathing here. And then releasing, finding your way back to downward facing dog with an optional vinyasa. Remembering that it's truly optional. You can also take down dog, child's pose, or any version of your vinyasa. Coming back to down dog, having a few breaths here. As the heart rate starts to increase, working to keep the breath normal and calm, the same breathing that you created during the pranayama in the beginning. Left side, inhale the left leg up, step forward, windmill the arms, warrior two. Finding a deeper warrior as the hips starting to get warmed up, maybe sitting down just a little bit lower. And then moving to Trichanasana, look back, flip the hands, tilt forward, triangle. Either staying here, swinging the left arm around, side angle lunge, working on a half bind, a full bind, or bird of paradise. So side angle lunge, if that's what you're doing, oops, looks like this. And you're looking up towards the armpit, towards the right elbow, trying to keep the chest open. Even if you're moving forward into half bind, still trying to keep the chest open. Whatever version of the posture you're doing, breathing stays normal, belly stays engaged. Finding your way down, downward facing dog, optional vinyasa. Exhaling back to downward facing dog. The next posture is a revolve triangle, Parivrita Trichanasana. So we start warming up the hips, bringing the right foot up, waist height, flexing the foot. You want to keep this internal rotation of the hip and the hips stay square, pressing the heel towards the wall behind you. Now to open up the hip, point the toes, lift the leg high. The hips are coming out of alignment, but the shoulders stay in line. Make sure that you don't let this right shoulder pop up. You can even bend the knee, looking over the left shoulder, looking for the toes, see if you can see them to get the maximum hip stretch. And then coming back to the center. Putting the right foot down onto the mat, just underneath the heart. Back foot is at 45 degrees, hands to the hips, coming up. So before we go down into revolve triangle here, engaging already the thighs, maybe feeling an internal rotation. The left arm comes up to the ceiling, and you start to hinge forward with a flat back. Coming down only as far as you need to go before your back is flat, like a table. So you can put your hand on the foot, leg, or perhaps using a block at home for support, or just because your legs are your arms are maybe not quite as long. And then you start twisting around to the right side. So you want to keep the hips exactly where they are, opening up the chest. Eventually, if both shoulders stack, floating that right arm up. Try to straighten out both legs, keep engaging the thigh, looking up to the ceiling, feeling a little bit more rotation. And then change, hands down, coming back to downward facing dog, optional vinyasa. Once you've made your way back to downward facing dog, preparing for the same thing on the left side. Bring the left leg up, waist height, flexing the foot as much as you can, the toes reaching towards the face, and pressing with equal weight with both hands on the mat. Now pointing the toes, lifting the leg up, opening up the hip, stretching it out, not letting that left shoulder pop up, bending the knees, looking over the shoulder, getting the maximum hip stretch. Coming back to center, internal rotation, and put the foot down on the mat underneath the heart. Palms come to the hips, and we come up. So on this side, it's the right arm that comes up. You can already put the hand on the lower back or leave it on the hip, and we start coming down. 2 legs straight, thighs engaged, placing the hand on a block, foot, or shin, and starting to rotate around to the right side. You want to make sure to keep your head directly in the middle without falling forward to one side or the other, trying to open up the chest. And here on this side, perhaps pulling the left hip back just a little bit so that the 2 hips stay square. And come down just a little bit even more. Yeah. Getting the final rotation. And then change hands down, back to downward facing dog. Getting ready for a compression posture, standing separate leg head to knee, Dandayamana Bibhaktapada Janu Shirshasana. We start by lifting the right leg up into the air and then putting the foot on the mat under the heart. Same feet as before, but now the palms are together, crossed at the thumbs, rounding up. Nice and slowly, 1 vertebrae at a time, the chin comes up last. Unless you're very flexible in the back of the legs, you can take a slightly bigger step. Maybe give the hips a few little flexes to make sure that they're really square to the front before we start the posture. And then creating first compression in the throat, chin to the chest, then pulling the belly in and rounding down compression in the belly, coming all the way down. Here, the forehead is not already touching the knee. Then you separate the hands and push into the floor, perhaps bending the front leg to touch the forehead to need the knee contact. If you're very flexible, the leg might be straight. If you're less flexible, you bend the knee as much as you need to, or you take an even bigger step in order to make forehead to knee contact. The 2 feet are pushing apart in opposite directions, using your hands for balance if they're separated, or working to bring them back together, palms touch, thumbs cross, perhaps testing the balance for a few seconds here, trying to work the forehead even higher on the knee. Now on the next inhale, rising up 1 vertebrae at a time with control. Chin comes up last, and then you pivot towards the side, towards the back, to repeat the posture on the left side. Make sure that you look at your heels, confirm that they're in one line, and the right foot at 45 degrees. Give the hips a little flex to make sure the hips are square, and then chin to the chest, rounding down all the way down, doing whatever you need to do to touch the forehead to the knee. Again, if it's bending the front leg, if it's separating the feet, that's what you need to do. You can push your hands into the floor to help to get the forehead even higher on the knee. And the arms should be straight here, whether they're separated or apart. So just the blade of your pinky fingers touching the floor. Continually pulling the belly button in towards the spine, creating this rounding sensation. So compression in the belly for the digestive system, compression in the throat, the thyroid system, metabolism system, and immune system. Finding the balance here at the end with the palms together. Next inhale, rounding up all the way up to a standing posture and releasing the arms. So coming to Padahasana. Let's do Parsvottanasana first. Releasing the arms and either grabbing opposite elbows or reverse namaskar. If you're doing reverse namaskar, bringing the hands together as much as possible, high in between the shoulder blades, or simply holding the 2 arms. So here you want to make sure that the legs are both straight, the back flat, as you start to hinge forward. So you don't need to come down too far before you start to feel a stretch in the hamstring in the back, making sure to keep the hips square. So on this side, the left hip back, and the chest is open. If you start rounding forward, you can come up a little bit, eventually shifting the gaze so that you're looking at the front toe, Squeezing the shoulder blades together, lifting the elbows up towards the ceiling. And if you have reverse namaskar, really keeping the palms of those hands together. Keep breathing here. Every exhale, you can maybe go down a little further. The thighs stay engaged to release the hamstring muscles in the back. And then on the next inhale, rising up. Simply pivoting back towards the side, back towards the front, and preparing for the left side. So here you can already engage the thigh muscles to make sure that they're nice and tight, and then start hinging forward. As I said, the chest stays open. If you find yourself rounding in the back, come back up. So little by little, with each exhale, you start moving forward, and then eventually shifting the gaze to look at the big toe of the right foot. The feet are very strong here, pushing with the front toe and the back heel like you're gonna rip the mat in half. It helps a lot with the balance here. Using all the little micro stabilizing muscles in your legs and in your feet. When you exhale, try to move forward a little bit in the posture. And remember to keeping that front leg straight. On the next inhale, rising up, releasing the arms to the sides and stepping forward into Namasté Yogis. Have 1 or 2 breaths here. Feel free to have a sip of water if you need it. And then finding your way back to the middle of the mat. So no problem to drink water at any time during this class. Of course. And also no problem to take breaks as needed. Child's pose, Shavasana are always an option. So once you've had your break, coming back to the mat, coming back to Namasté Yogis, and getting ready for half moon Arda Chandrasana. So bringing the arms overhead, reaching up, interlacing the fingers and releasing the index fingers, or grabbing the left wrist. This is a modification which helps to stretch the arms in a different way. So warming up, just giving a tick-tock, back and forth, right and left. Remember to keep the belly strong and the body in one line. Perhaps as you pass through the middle, reaching up and coming over, up and coming over to really stretch the body. So once you can't stretch anymore, stop in the middle. Here, remember, the feet are together, toes and heels touching. The legs are already strong, squeezing together. The belly is engaged. Inhale, reaching straight up to the ceiling, and exhale, starting to come over to the right side. So here you want the chest to be open. Bringing all the way back into the heels. Remember, squeezing the legs together helps keep the chest open. You might need to bring the right shoulder forward and then press the left hip forward to keep everything in one line. Lift the chin away from the chest. Fix your eyes on one spot. Using the breath, exhale, coming down. Each exhale, reaching over to the right with the arms and pushing the hips out to the left, even pushing through the outside edge of the foot. Again, keeping the belly engaged so that you're not falling over. You're supporting the upper body, and you're reaching, you're lifting, you're creating space, opening the rib cage and stretching the entire left side of the body from fingertips to the outside edge of the foot. One more exhale, go to your maximum on this side, reach for it and go further. And then change, come back up, stop in the middle. If you've got the fingers crossed, perhaps crossing the opposite thumbs, and if you grab your wrist, switching wrists. Preparing for the left side, reaching straight up to the ceiling, and then coming over to the left. So one thing that we see a lot is that people start to bend forward, really keeping the chest open, bringing the weight back into the heels, squeezing the legs together. On this side, the left shoulder forward, the right hip forward. You can also think of opening up the right side, the right shoulder, and exhale, reaching over. Try to not go to your maximum at the very beginning. With each exhale, there's more room. You can go further. You exhale and you reach. The belly is strong here. Pushing the hips out to the right side. Again, bringing the chin away from the chest. Keep breathing. We don't hold the breath here. Finding your last exhale, reach, go to your maximum here. And then change, come back up, stop in the middle. Preparing for a back bend, you can keep the arms overhead or also supporting the back by the hands on the lower back or casting out the arms to the sides. The feet are still together, squeezing the legs. Inhale, open the chest and drop the head back, and then start to go back, backward bending. So you're squeezing the legs, all the weight is back on the heels and maybe pushing the hips forward just a little bit. Chest is open, reaching with your eyes where you want to go. That's what's going to help move the body. When you exhale, go a little bit further. Inhale, open the chest. Exhale, drop back a little further. Coming back to the maximum, bending the back as far as you can. And change. Come back. Stop in the middle. And then now careful and gently with the back. We're bending 180 degrees. Bending the knees, flat spine. Coming all the way forward to forward fold. You can walk in place here. Bending the knees as much as you need to. Right and left. Perhaps relaxing the head, shaking the head yes and no. Relaxing the shoulders. So starting with Padahasana, hands to feet pose from the front, separating the feet hip distance, bending the knees to slide the entire hand underneath the foot. You want to get it so that the toes are touching the wrist creases, and then you start working on straightening the legs. So you have two options here. If the legs are completely straight and you're more flexible, you can start bending the elbows out to the two sides. If the legs are still bent, then the arms are going to be completely straight, and you're practicing rolling the weight forward into the toes and perhaps straightening the legs a little bit more. So either way, you bring the weight forward into the toes, you lift the hips up, and try to pull the head down towards the feet. The eyes are open, still breathing normally with every exhale, going a little bit further, either pushing the knees back a little further or finding more room in the hamstrings. On your next exhale, coming to the maximum of this posture, and then change. Releasing the feet, bring them back together. And then preparing for Padahasana from the back, so maybe squatting down a few times, just lubricating the knee joints, and then grabbing the heels from behind. So you can step on the tips of the fingers, cupping the heels, and working the elbows close together behind the calf muscles. Then starting to pull and lift the hips up. If you're very flexible and the legs are totally straight, then you can cup the backs of the feet to give you a little bit more room to advance. Here you're using all of the arm strength to pull the body down. Stomach is touching and in contact with the thighs, chest on the knees, and face pressing against the legs below the knees. No room for lighter there. When you exhale, pull. Exhale and pull and reach the head towards the toes. Again here, weight forward into the toes, lifting the hips up to the ceiling. Trying to make the maximum of the posture, stretching the whole hamstring. Getting the head closer and closer to the feet with each exhale. Getting the shoulders up away from the ears. Stretching the back. One more exhale, pull and change. Bringing the hands together. Coming up with a flat back. And the arms come down to the sides. Coming back to Namasté Yogis. So you can come to the top of the mat and then just take a quarter turn to the right side. For standing, separate leg stretching. Dandayamana Bipaktapada Paschimottanasana. We start here, Namasté Yogis again, feet together, palms facing forward. Have a big inhale, reaching the arms up to the ceiling, and an exhale, stretching the feet out. So a good distance to measure the width of your stance is to have the feet below the hands. If you're very flexible, you're going to bring then the feet a little closer together, and if you need more room to stretch, you're going to bring the feet a little further apart. Pulling the shoulders down, opening the chest, already engaging the thigh muscles here, starting to hinge forward all the way down to a forward fold. Resting the hands in between the feet in the middle of the mat or simply grabbing opposite elbows. Take a few breaths here. Remember, the legs are strong and tight already. You want to engage the thighs. The rest of the body, though, can be relaxed. The head, the neck, everything hanging heavy, just breathing. Next, moving into extended downward dog, Uttita Adho Mukha Svanasana, walking the hands forward. Legs stay strong here. Getting a nice change to stretch the spine. Practicing perhaps your downward facing dog by pushing against the mat with the whole of your hand, the palm, the fingers, the knuckles. making sure that you have the hips directly in line with the feet and bringing the chest down towards the space in between your legs. And then changing, walking the hands back in, bending the knees as much as you need to grab the outside of the feet or the ankles. So it may be that the legs are bent here, not completely straight. You're still pulling on the feet, working little by little on straightening and getting the legs back. It can also be that the legs are completely straight, and in this case, you can bend the elbows out to the two sides, using the strength of the arms to pull the head down. Always moving the weight forward into the toes, lifting the hips up, and looking at that space right in between the 2 feet. Bringing the shoulders up away from the ears, making the neck a little bit longer, and when you exhale again, using the arm strength to pull. No matter where you are in this posture, pull on the exhale, finding 1 more millimeter to move forward. Eventually the top of the head coming very close to or touching the middle of the mat. If you're already there, you can adjust the feet, bring them a little closer together. 1 more exhale, coming to the maximum of this posture, and then change. Come on up. The arms out to the sides, all the way to standing, closing it off, hands and feet touch, and the arms come down to the sides. Just taking a few moments here in Namasté, breathing, mouth closed through the nose, letting the blood come back into the head, letting the balance come back. All right, turning back to face the front, back to the middle of the mat. Few more standing balancing postures. So the first that we'll do is standing head to knee, Dandayamana Janu Shirshasana. Starting with the feet together, palms facing forward, engaging the left thigh calf muscle and bringing the right foot up. So try to have 90 degrees here, flexing the foot, lifting the toes up towards the face, and the belly is already very strong here. This is step 1 of the posture. If you're here, you're already in it, getting all the benefits of the posture. If you want to move forward, pull the belly in, round down, and interlace the fingers below the ball of the foot. So try to get a nice tight grip. The wrist should be straight here. You're making a little basket with your hands and keeping the left leg strong. Once the left leg is strong, you can start kicking out, extending both legs. So you don't want this left leg to be locked with the knee. You want to engage the calf muscle and tighten it up, working on eventually getting both legs fully extended like a capital L or L. You want this right foot to be the height of the waist, flexing the foot back towards the face. Try to relax the arms, try to relax the shoulders. Just the legs here are working. Foot is flexing, you're looking forward, the chest is open. Moving into the final stage of this posture, perhaps if both legs are fully extended, you would be then bending the elbows down to the 2 sides of the calf muscles and changing your gaze to look at the knee and the belly button, bringing the forehead to the knee. So moving forward in your posture, wherever you are, for 1 last breath, and then changing it, right foot comes down. Coming back to Namasté, taking a few breaths here. Moving into the same thing, left side. Engage the right leg, lift the left leg up. Finding step 1 of the posture. You want to really dial it in here. Practice engaging the right thigh muscle, engaging the belly nice and tight here. Tuck the tailbone a little bit, and then reach forward, interlace the fingers underneath the foot. Getting a nice tight grip. This is step 2. You want to keep the belly engaged and keep the chest high to get the weight off the lower back. You can then start extending the left leg out, working on getting both legs parallel with the floor. Straightening up the right leg, flexing the left foot back towards the face. Trying to relax both the shoulders and the arms. So if you have both legs straight, then changing the gaze, eventually, oh guys, I can't do it. Eventually bending the elbows out to the 2 sides, and then moving the vision, looking at the left knee, looking at the belly button, and bringing the forehead to the knee. Hold it there, longer than us, perhaps. If you fall out, it's okay, you can always try again. Coming to the maximum of your posture for 3, 2, 1, and change back to Namasté. Next, standing balancing posture. bow Dandayamana Dhanurasana. So the right hand comes out like you're holding a little plate. You want to make sure to keep this orientation of your wrist when you bend down and grab the ankle from the inside. So you don't want an outside rotation and inside rotation, the two knees together. And then the left arm comes up. Standing leg is perfectly strong here. On the next inhale, starting to kick back, directly back. So if you have a mirror in front of you, the knee is disappearing behind the hip. If you don't, you just have to kind of feel it, keeping the standing leg strong, arching the spine. It's the power of the kick that's going to help you here, so keep kicking as hard as you possibly can, reaching the left arm forward, bending the spine. So you're pointing the toes towards the ceiling. It's growing out of the top of the head. Opening up the right shoulder, the right hip, and stretching the standing hamstring. You're moving the blood in your body from vertical to horizontal. Keep kicking. The chin is over the left shoulder, the eyes fixed on one point, moving the body down. Keep kicking, keep breathing, kick as hard as you possibly can. Come down a little further, the stomach coming parallel to the floor. If you fall, it's fine, you get back in, you have time. This can be hard to do if you don't have a mirror. See what you can do, keep trying your best. Coming to the end, the maximum of your posture, and then change, come down, both feet together. Come back to Samasthiti. Take a breath. This posture has a lot to do with the mental part of our practice. For sure you have the physical energy to do it. Moving into the left side. Left hand out. Picking up the ankle from the inside. Starting together with the two knees touching. Right arm up. Everything nice and tight on the right side. Arm and leg strong, and then we start to kick. If you're someone who sometimes gets locked out because you don't have very flexible hamstrings, start bringing the body down first before you kick to your maximum. If you're very, very stretchy, then you're going to need to kick to the maximum before you come down. So try and see how it goes depending on the flexibility here, and maybe you'll discover something new about your standing bow. You need to kick hard here. It's really the power of the kick that's keeping you back there. It's not the hand holding the foot. It's the foot pulling the arm back. So you're stretching open the shoulder, you're stretching open the hip, and you're stretching the standing hamstring muscle. Keep reaching forward. If you have a mirror in front of you, the fingertips are lined up with the eyes and the reflection. The belly is coming down to parallel, kicking as hard as you can, arching the spine, bending the back, coming down for one more exhale. Go for it here and change. Come back. Samasthiti. Just a few breaths here. This is a very cardiovascular posture, so the heart should be beating. The breathing might start to accelerate a little bit. We're going to come to the back of the mat, getting ready for standing balancing posture, Tuladhanasana, staff pose. This one's very quick. It's only 10 seconds, so you need to get right into it. Starting with the feet together, coming up. Interlacing the fingers, releasing the index fingers here. On the next inhale, the right foot steps forward, pointing the left toes behind you. So everything is already tight. The arms, the left leg, the standing leg. You hinge at the hips and come down, finding the capital letter T position. You want to be reaching forward and pointing the leg back, pressing the chest through towards the mat. The standing leg is engaged. Come down a little more with the body. Just the leg rising, not the hip. Bring the hip back down a little bit more if you can. Reach forward and reach back. One more second here. Good. Change. Come back up. Stop in the middle. Arms come down to the sides. Coming back up for the left side. Bring the arms up. Interlace the fingers. Release the index fingers. Getting ready for the left. Big inhale. Big step forward on the left foot. Point the back toes. Everything tight. Let's go. Coming down. Capital letter T. So you feel like you're being pulled apart in two opposite directions. Reaching forward with the fingers, pointing back with the back toes. The arms strong, the leg long, belly coming down, parallel with the floor. Standing leg engaged. Keep breathing. One more second here. And change. Come back up. The arms come down. Samasthiti. Taking a couple breaths here. Just holding the stillness. And moving into the last of our standing postures, tree, Vrikshasana. So for tree, engaging the left leg and picking up the right leg. If you have healthy knees, you can use your hands to bring your leg all the way up into half lotus posture. In this case, You're going to have the heel in line with the belly button and the sole of the foot pointing towards the ceiling. If you have some knee issues, you might keep the foot on the inside of the thigh or also on the inside of the calf muscle. All of these are perfectly fine. Standing legs should be strong. If the foot will stay there, you can bring both hands up. Otherwise, feel free to hold the foot. Engaging the belly, tucking the tailbone down, opening up the chest, just fixing the eyes on one point. Noticing how the heart is beating, how the breath is moving in the lungs and the body. If you have the half lotus, you can start moving forward into toe stand. So that means you're going to start hinging forward and reaching down towards the floor. If you are standing in tree, you can also feel free to modify your arms or your hands at any time. So for toe stand, you're reaching towards the floor, and when you can touch the floor, then you can put the weight safely into both hands and bend the left knee. Once you're all the way down here, the gaze should be about a meter and a half in front of you, and it comes last. You start by bringing the left hand up, perhaps the right hand, and then lastly the eyes. Stomach should be engaged, back flat. Working on practicing the balance and see how it goes today. Once you finish toe stand, coming back up the same way that you went down, finding your tree again, and then releasing the right foot down to the floor. Moving to the left side, engaging the right leg, picking up the left side. So if your knees are healthy and you can repeat exactly what you did on both sides, go ahead and do that to stay balanced. If you need to modify for one leg, again, as I said, you can put your foot on the inside of the calf muscle, on the inside of the thigh. All of those modifications are perfectly fine. Taking a few moments in tree, just breathing and being still, standing up tall. And then if you're moving forward into toe stand, you start hinging forward at the waist, reaching for the floor. If you're staying in tree, you're also welcome to grow the arms up, growing the tree, perhaps modifying the fingers by taking a mudra. Any modifications that you would like to make. If you're in standing tree, you can take a look, perhaps, and if you have a mirror, trying to feel it out at the shoulders, that they're in one line. If there's one higher than the other, same thing for the hips, trying to keep them even, keep the weight from dumping into that right hip. If you've been down in toe stand, on the next inhale, rising back up, finding your tree again the same way that you went down, and then releasing back to Samasthiti. So having just a few breaths here, mouth is closed, still breathing through the nose, before turning and lying down on the floor for your first Shavasana. Okay, you can cut it out. So, I'm just wondering if I should turn him. No, you probably don't want to be turned now. But we can see him in the mirror. Okay, so it's okay. No, it's okay. But I think, is it better to, can you turn around? You don't mind? Ta-da! So in your Shavasana, keeping the eyes open here in the first Shavasana, trying to find a comfortable position and then not moving. The heels are touching together, the feet fall open, and the palms are facing up to the ceiling. So the heart might be beating fast after the standing series. The breath will start to slow down as we hold the posture. Letting your body integrate all of the benefits and all of the information from the standing series that you've just done. In this Shavasana, if you have things that come into your mind, so feelings, thoughts, whatever rises up, it can be interesting information to note, and then releasing it without judgment and just coming back to your breath. So practicing this again and again, part of the active practice of your Shavasana. So the first posture on the floor, Supta Badrasana, reclining gentle posture. Bringing the feet up, the soles of the feet together. What are you doing, Emily? Bringing the heels as close as you can towards the tailbone, towards the coccyx, and letting the knees fall open, just like a butterfly or like a book. So the arms can stay exactly where they are, palms face up, or you can very gently rest the palms on the inside of the thighs to help add a little bit of weight in opening the legs. The eyes stay open, the breathing stays normal. Feeling the whole length of your spine touching the floor. And trying to keep the weight even on the two hip bones, also even on the shoulder blades as well, behind you. So if the hips are tight, can take a little bit of time in this posture to relax and open. Just breathing into the hips, any place where you have tightness in your body. And letting it go. Bringing the chin down a little towards the chest, keeping all vertebrae of the back touching the floor. And then with your next breath, change, bringing the knees together and the legs back to Shavasana. Touching the heels together, the feet fall open, palms face up. Completely relaxing into the mat. And again here, letting the body integrate all the benefits of the posture that you just did. Next, moving into Pavana Muktasana, wind liberating posture. Starting on the right side, bringing the right knee up, interlacing the fingers on top of the knee, and then pulling directly towards the chest. So you want to have a nice tight grip with your hands on the knee and try to pull straight down the center line of the body, only going out to the side if you have real resistance in the hip joints. Keep the elbows close to the body, nice and compact, and when you exhale, you pull. Use all the arm strength and really pull it in, trying to create this compression in the hip joint and a little massage for the digestive system on the right side. So the chin comes down towards the chest, creating this compression also in the throat. Just the arms working here, relaxing the legs, relaxing the face, and pulling as much as you can with each exhale, creating the compression, trying to pull the knee a little closer to the chest. One more big exhale, pull it in, and then change. You're releasing the foot up to the ceiling, flexing the foot, and slowly lowering down to Shavasana. Coming all the way down and relaxing on the floor. And then moving to the left side. So the left knee comes up, same thing, interlacing the fingers. So very good posture for the wrists, for the hands. Getting a nice tight grip on the knee and then pulling in. So if this posture is quite easy for you and the knee comes all the way to the chest, you can also take a box grip, grabbing opposite elbows on top of the knee. But for most of us, it's already enough to be interlacing the fingers, pulling the knee down with every exhale, creating this compression. You can even flex the right foot to remind yourself to keep the right calf muscle on the floor, bringing the chin down towards the chest. Remember, relaxing the face and still breathing. Every exhale, pulling in more, creating this compression. And then change. Release the foot up to the ceiling, flex it, and slowly lower all the way down to Shavasana. Now both legs together, both knees come up towards the chest, giving yourself a big hug around the legs, grabbing opposite elbows if you can. If you can't reach all the way to the elbows, feel free to grab your forearms or your wrists, or even to use a little towel in between your hands. Once you have your grip, trying to create as much compression as possible across the transverse belly and in the both hips. So when you exhale, pull. Think about the knees coming towards the chest, the shoulders sinking down to the floor, the hips down, the chin down. Again, exhale, knees, hips, shoulders, chin, being as compact as possible with every vertebrae of the back touching the mat. One more exhale, and then change, releasing both feet up to the ceiling, flexing the feet, and pressing your hands against the mat, or sliding your hands underneath your bum to support the lower back. So adding a few ab exercises here, just pointing the toes and flexing the feet and lowering a few inches. Point the toes, flex and lower, point, flex and lower at your own rhythm all the way down until you're hovering just above the floor. And then feel free to add a few scissor kicks, right foot on top, right foot below, as many times as you want before you finally find your Shavasana. You may already be there, that's fine too. Point the toes. And change, Shavasana. Coming next into Happy Baby, Ananda Balasana, bringing the feet up towards the ceiling, grabbing the outsides of the feet or the big toes. So two possible options, trying to open up the knees enough so that they're on the outsides of the body and you're pulling against your feet. It can be very passive and it's just the strength of the arms opening up the legs, or it can also be more active and you're actually kicking against the hands, actively resisting. You want to feel opening in the hips, perhaps a compression in the hip joint. Feel free to rock a little bit side to side. Give yourself a little back massage. You can also rock back to front, tailbone to neck, as you need to. Have a couple breaths here, really trying to send your breath into the hips, relax the hip muscles, and then slowly find your way all the way back to Shavasana. So let's do a couple of Pilates sit-ups to activate the abdominal muscles before we move into some spine work. So you want to bring the knees up so that the feet are flat to the floor and the arms come overhead. If you're doing this at home, you can probably put your foot underneath a couch or have your friend who lives with you grab your feet. So on the next inhale, engage your belly and start rolling yourself all the way up using the ab muscles, and then reach up to the ceiling. On the next exhale, rounding down, bringing the arms overhead. Again, engaging the belly, using the ab strength to come up, reaching up to the ceiling, and rolling all the way back down. It's going to be a little easier if the feet are further away from you, and it's going to be a little bit harder if the feet are close to the tailbone. Again, coming on up, completing 5 to 10 sit-ups depending on the rhythm that you have. So finishing it up, coming to a sitting position, and then just straightening out the legs in front of you. So a couple ways that you can do this, very passively, just relaxing the head, letting yourself fall forward over the legs. Or it can also be more active, grabbing the toes or the outsides of the feet and actively pulling, stretching the hamstrings. Whichever version you want. Taking a couple of breaths here. Flexing the feet back towards your head in any case. One more exhale, and then change, turning around to lie on your belly. Head this way. So for the spine strengthening series, starting with Cobra, you're laying on your belly and the hands are close to the chest, palms face down. You want the elbows also to be back, so not out to the sides, but nice and compact and close. Squeezing the legs together, tops of the feet pressing against the mat. So exhale to prepare yourself and inhale, come up. Squeeze the legs, use the lower back muscles, come up off the mat. Looking up, pulling the shoulders down away from the ears. Inhale, come up a little bit more. Hold it there. One more breath. And change, lowering down, left ear on the mat, looking to the right. Release the arms. So this spine strengthening series, the next couple, you can also hook your feet underneath your couch. And it helps you to get a little bit of extra height when you're engaging the back muscles. It's hard to do when you're laying flat on a mat, and we don't often practice this modification in class unless it's a partner yoga class. So if you have the support of your couch, it's a good time to work on that. Let's do a second set. Coming forward, hands to the sides of the chest. So the thumbs are just touching, elbows close to the body, squeezing the legs together. It's like you have one leg. Exhale to prepare, and then inhale, start to lift up. Coming all the way up till just the belly button is touching the mat. Looking up, lungs are mostly full here. Perhaps testing yourself by lifting the hands off the floor for 1 or 2 seconds. One more breath here. Change, relax all the way down, right around the towel, arms to the sides. So here you want to touch the toes together and let the heels fall open to relax the lower back muscles. Just breathe here, allowing the back to rise and fall with a breath. Fixing your eyes on one spot on the floor, the side of the mat. So here, just like Shavasana, reconnecting with the rhythm of the breath anytime that thoughts, feelings start to pop up, gently releasing them with no judgment, and coming back to the breath. Moving straight into full locust, Punishalabasana. So you want to have the two legs together and the arms out to the sides like airplane wings. Again, as I said before, this is a posture where if you have a couch right next to you, you can slide your feet underneath. It's going to give you a little bit extra support. So squeezing the legs together, exhale to prepare, and then inhale, come up. Hands, arms off the floor, coming all the way up, using the middle back muscles, lifting all the way up. You want the hands to be at least as high as the head. Squeezing the bum, inhale, come up more, a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more, and then change, relax all the way down to the floor. Left ear on the towel, arms to the sides. Completely relaxing, keeping the eyes open, and reconnecting with the normal breath. The arms straight. Let's squeeze together. to a second set. Bend, grabbing the outside of the edge, or modifying by sliding thumb in between the big toe and the second toe. It's an optional way to grip the feet, and it makes a different rotation in the shoulders. Start with the knees together, exhale to prepare, and then inhale, let's go. Inhale, reaching up, picking up as hard as you can, lifting up, filling up the lungs with air, in the back. Now looking up to the top of the ceiling, try to roll forward a little bit more, chest open, bring the knees back together. If you're separated, look up, inhale, one more breath, hold it there. Relax right there on the towel, legs coming down. Take a few breaths here, or already perhaps starting to move back to child's pose. Whatever feels best for you at this point. If you want to, you can use the arm strength, push yourself up, open the knees, and coming down, forehead towards the floor. Oxygen, breath moving through your body and your circulation system, cleaning out your blood, your organs. And then at the back of perhaps for this Arda Karmasana. Sitting all the way to the back with the feet together, knees touching, and then bringing the arms overhead, palms touching, thumbs on the belly, that's reaching up and then turning the hips forward to flat down as slow as you possibly can. Perhaps touching the forehead before the hands. Once you're down on the floor, it's a very active posture. So you can reaching forward with the elbows, the wrists are off the floor, the blades of the pinky fingers touching. And then on the exhale, try sinking the hips down towards the ceiling. So this is every vertebrae of your back. Deep breath in, exhale the hips going back, creating a natural next inhale, re-engaging the belly, the arms started to come on up, the back flat, and the arms come down to the side. Going to come onto all fours, and then come to downward facing dog. Moving a couple times, right and left, right and left. What you do is bend the knees, hands and bring them very close to the mat, and then straighten the legs and heels to the mat. Perhaps bring the head down a little more. Getting ready for one-legged Padahasana. Bringing the right leg up and then bringing the right knee just behind the right wrist. Settling the hips down so that the toes behind you are untouched. And then again, moving forward as your body permits, perhaps on the floor, arms touching the floor, perhaps to the floor. If you need to and you have a block at home, you also might put a block underneath in the back. So it's a little bit of pressure on the hips up and slide it just or perhaps underneath the head in the front or the neck. So just breathing into the posture, posture, you're also welcome to go directly into downward facing dog. You found your way back to downward facing dog. So that you're moving your legs right and left, right and left, bringing the circulation back into the right hip, back into the right knee joint, and then preparing for pigeon on the left side. Stretching the left leg up to the ceiling, and then bringing it forward directly behind the chest, setting the hips down to the mat, and straightening the leg behind you. And then just moving forward onto the forearms, with the forehead coming down to the floor, completely relaxing and surrendering this posture. Very flexible now after this practice. Trying to be also flexible in your mind and in your spirit, respecting things in the comfort for you this last moment. Very aware of your breath. Still breathing with the mouth closed through the nose. Exhale, getting deeper. Deep inhale. Big exhale. And starting to make your way back up. Pausing to bind the leg if it's in your practice today, or moving all the way back to downward facing dog. Still with the breath. And if eventually when you find your way back to downward facing dog, making sure that you move the legs pedal right and left, right and left. The circulation back into the left side. So coming down to the knees and eventually to all fours, and then coming to a seated position, bringing the legs in front. So we'll just end with spine twist, Arda Chandrasana. So the legs are out straight. If you have any issues, feel free to keep this left leg totally straight. Otherwise, you can bend it underneath your body. Both options are perfectly fine. So you do the bent version, straight version. The right leg is coming over the top here. Heel, in this case, is the front of the knee, the side, and the back of the leg kicks in, supporting you. So you can put the left arm over in the front of the knee. The alternative version is pushing the elbow against the knee until the foot is flexed. You want to head straight up to the ceiling and exhale, twist around, creating support in the belly. Head into the breath. Inhale, head. Exhale, twist a little deeper, reaching with your eyes where you want your body to go. Bring out the spine here. This is a very flexible moment in class. Breathe in. And come back to the center. Moving the legs slightly right and left. And then bending. So either bending the right leg underneath you or keeping it straight. The left arm comes over. The right arm that comes up at the side. Either modification. If you want, you can wrap the left arm against the left behind, opening the left shoulder even more. So as you inhale, try to lengthen the spine. Exhale, twist, looking out behind you, to the wall behind you. Reaching with your eyes to go 1 more centimeter. Inhale, lengthen the spine more. Exhale, twist a little deeper. Opening as the stomach coming across the side. Pushing the elbow against the knee for leverage. One last step. Twist, twist, twist. And change. Coming back to the front. Again, moving the legs one last time. And then turning to lie down in Shavasana. Either way. So here, making yourself really comfortable. Spreading your arms and legs a little wider. If you need to adjust your clothes or have a sip of water before your final Shavasana. close your eyes. Notice how places in your body are in contact with the floor. The backs of your feet, the backs of your hands, the elbows, the shoulders. Support by noticing the rhythm of the heart and the rhythm of the breath, and both getting a little slower, a little deeper. So if you set an intention for your practice, coming back to that at this moment, acknowledging what you've done for yourself by setting this time aside for your practice, for your body and for your mind. Starting by visualizing each part of your body and perhaps even physically tightening and then releasing one by one the toes. Relax your feet, your ankles, your calves, your knees. Relaxing your thighs and the muscles around your hip joints. Relaxing the belly, let it be very soft. Just rising and falling with the breath. Relaxing the lower back, middle spine, upper back, and the shoulder blades. Relaxing your fingers and the hands, wrists, forearms. Releasing the front of the throat, unclenching the jaw, relax your tongue, your eyes, and the top of your head. Is at peace. To it. So noticing the state of peace and calm that you've created for yourself in this moment. Knowing that at any time during your day you can come back to this breath, to this moment, and again feel the same peace. So thank you to everyone practicing with us today. Sending you all great special energy and a lot of love. Ending our class first with Shanti, 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 which means peace, peace, peace. And then wishing you all Namaste.